Hello everybody, welcome back to Black Ops 6. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the beta. The beta just ended, it literally yesterday, and I'm just going to kind of talk about it, talk about the good things, talk about the bad things, things I'm excited for Black Ops 6, and just my overall opinion on the beta, whether I think this game is a good game, whether I think it's worth buying the game, all those kinds of things. So let's jump into it, and we're going to start with the negatives, and then we'll go into the positives. There's not a lot of negatives, but there are some. Overall, I think the beta was a positive experience. However, there were some things that I do feel need to be addressed and need to be kind of talked about, but very few things. So let's just jump into it. All right. So one thing I want to start off with immediately is, because I know everybody had their mind on this because it's a big issue in Call of Duty, and that is skill-based matchmaking. Now, I went into the beta full knowing it was going to be sweaty. Every beta is always sweaty. It's just the way it is. It's been the same way in every beta I've played in the last 5 to 6 years, whatever it's been. Right, in Cold War, and Vanguard, and MW2, MW3, all those betas were all very sweaty. It's just the way betas are. I knew that coming in, so I kind of, having that knowledge, knowing that that's how it was going to be, it made it a lot easier for me to enjoy the beta, regardless of the skill-based matchmaking and knowing it was going to be sweaty. I will say, however, because there's two separate issues within skill-based matchmaking kind of bracket, and that is skill-based matchmaking, but there's also team balancing. My issue has always been the team balancing part, right? Skill-based matchmaking to me is what it is, but to me it kind of needs to exist, because the players who just start off playing the game are going to get frustrated when they get into lobbies with people who are way better than them, and they just get shit on, and they're going to stop playing the game. You can see what happened with XDefiant. They don't have skill-based matchmaking. A lot of people who, you know, didn't know the game or hadn't played any of the game prior and weren't good at it quit, and the game died essentially because of that. And so I think skill-based matchmaking kind of needs to be in the game. Unfortunately, as much as it sucks, we would like to have it how it was. The problem is that the skill in COD has increased. Everybody's just way better at the game now than they were back in the day. Back in the day, you know, the good players back in the day would be maybe average players today, if that. Like, that's just how much better everyone has gotten at COD. So I think skill-based matchmaking, unfortunately, needs to be a thing. And in this game, it's even more needed, I would say, because they increased the skill. For the first time in like 5 or 6 years, they've increased the skill gap in COD. And because of the Omni movement, all those other factors. And so I do believe it is more needed in this game. However, I will say the team balancing felt fine. I never saw myself getting any kind of like angry or frustrated that my teammates weren't performing well. Usually if we were losing, it was just because it was, first of all, I didn't care if we were losing. It was a beta. I didn't care if we won, if we lost. It didn't make a difference to me, right? I wasn't playing to win. I was playing to have fun, enjoy the game, experience it, try every, you know, all the different things. I wasn't trying to win games. I was just playing the game. And a lot of times when we were losing, or when I was losing, it was just because we weren't playing objective. Like, we were getting kills, we just weren't playing objective. And you look at the team, and pretty much everybody was pretty equal in kills. Nobody was like way above the others, or there was nobody doing horrifically. Every now and then you'd see a teammate that was doing not great, but for the most part it was pretty even. So I kind of enjoyed that. But yeah, skill-based matchmaking is in this game. It's not going to go away. I'm going to put it in the cons just because I don't like skill-based matchmaking, but I understand why it exists. And it is in this game, and it's the same as it was in Modern Warfare 3. Another negative I want to talk about, and this is both a con and a negative, and that's the maps. There were a few maps, like for example Scud. I just didn't enjoy Scud. It was very like, people played it really passive. People played it really weird. I don't know if that's just because people were learning the map, or they, you know, it was just a beta or whatever. But I didn't really enjoy that map that much. I did like Skyline a lot. To me, that was the best map in the beta. I like the map you're seeing in the background, Derelict. I thought that was a good map. There was the other map, the mall map. I can't remember the name of it right now. Oh, Rewind. Rewind was okay, but it felt really campy. It felt really weird. It felt like it took forever to find people. I like maps that you get into gunfights, not necessarily instantly, like Shipment or those maps. Those are good for camo grinding, but in terms of just straight up maps, like for regular modes, I want maps that you can still get into gunfights at least decently quickly. I don't want to take, you know, 2 minutes running through a map trying to find somebody, and I felt like Rewind was like that. The face-off maps were good. I mean, they were just face-off maps. Pit was good. Gala was good. They were just small maps that are meant for just a constant engagement. It's very much like a Shipment. Also good for camo grinding. But yeah, I felt like Scud wasn't great. I didn't really like Scud that much. I didn't really like Rewind that much. And they were all kind of medium-sized to small maps. There were no big maps, which I don't know if that's a good thing necessarily. I feel like there do need to be some, not necessarily huge maps, but just, you know, like bigger than the ones we have in the beta. And what I mean by that is, when you're looking at ranked, which is what I play most of in COD, you look at my rank numbers versus my pub numbers. I play a lot more ranked than I do pubs, especially once rank drops. They need to at least have some kind of size and flow to them, because if they're too close together, it gets weird. It gets really weird. The rotations get weird unless they're really good designed maps like Rio, or even Vista. It gets really weird when they're not that big. So I'm just interested to see the other maps that we haven't seen yet and where that kind of goes. There's still a lot of media maps we haven't seen. We've only seen a couple of them. So I'm interested to see where those go, and I'm hopeful that those are good. But yeah, it was like 2 of 4. So there was half good, half bad, which is why half of the maps are in the con, half of them are going to be in the pros. But that was another one of those cons. Another con, there were a few bugs. This wasn't nothing crazy, no game-breaking ones. But there were a few bugs in the beta that I think it wouldn't be right if I didn't speak about them when I'm talking about the beta. There was a bug where when you were in a game and you decided to change, let's say you wanted to change your Semtex to a the explosive trap or something like that mid-game, you would switch it in your class and you would select the class, you would die, and when you respawn, it wouldn't switch your actual grenade.
To walk up to the window.
It would not switch your grenade, and I don't think...
He's still up there.
Obviously, that's a bug, and you would try and it wouldn't switch your grenade. You would literally have to switch to a different class, switch back, and then sometimes it would still flip back to the old class. So I don't know how that even happens, but that bug was a little bit frustrating. There's another bug where every time you started a match, it would start on the class you used prior, which is good. But the moment you went to select it, it would instantly skip up to the top class, so you would select the top one instead of the one you were on from the last game. And that was a little bit frustrating. And then also, I don't know if this is a bug, but I'm really, really hoping it is, because it would be a horrendous decision if it wasn't, is that you weren't able to speak to the other team after games. You were able to speak to them between rounds in Gunfight and after the game in Gunfight, but not in regular games. So after the games ended, you weren't able to speak to them at all, which is weird, because when you have the secret agent thing, or you have you take someone hostage, you can speak to them. So I think that's just a bug. I'm really hoping it's just a bug, but that's something I also noticed in the beta as well. Another thing that was concerning a little bit in the beta was that the Jackal was overpowered in the first week, and that's fine. That happens. Every beta, there's always a gun that's super strong. In Modern Warfare 3, it was the Striker, and then it got nerfed into the dirt and was never used pretty much ever again. But in the first weekend of the beta, the Jackal was super overpowered. It's all anybody ever used, and it made the game a little bit unfun, because it was just Jackal. They said they nerfed it. They put out a tweet and everything saying they had nerfed it, and for the second weekend of the beta, it was going to be nerfed. And then you come to the second weekend of the beta, and everyone's still using the Jackal, because while they did nerf it slightly, it was still very, very good, and right up there still as the best gun, if not arguably the best gun in the game. And that's a little bit concerning, right? Like, it's a little bit concerning when they're like, we nerfed this, and then you go and it's not really nerfed. That doesn't really bode well going forward for gun balancing going forward. Another thing that I noticed as well in the beta that was a negative for me is that the snipers were just a little too slow. The flinch is fine. There are attachments that negate the flinch, and it's still pretty good, pretty strong flinch, but the flinch is fine. The problem is that they're too slow. It takes you so long to even ADS that, even with attachments for it, it takes you so long to ADS that if someone sees you even a half second before you see them, even maybe a half second after you see them, by the time you scope in to shoot them, you're dead. I think they need to speed it up just a little bit to make snipers a little bit more fun. Don't reduce the flinch, because then we're just gonna have Cold War where the snipers were broken and they weren't fun to use. Don't do that, but just speed them up a little. I think they're a little bit too slow as they are right now. Maybe that's just the one that was in the beta where there was two. It was the Dragunov, which was not good, or the SVD, which is the Dragunov, which was not good. It's more of the like semi-auto, not as strong, a little bit faster. Still wasn't that fast, not good. And then you had the LR, I forget what it's called already, LR 7.62 or something like that, which was a little bit of a slower snipe, but it was stronger. I think that's a good way to balance it. Like, have a strong snipe that's a little bit slower, then have one in the middle, have one that's fast but weaker. But it was just way too slow. I think it needs to be a little bit faster than it was in the beta. Another third negative in the beta, and this is probably the biggest negative, honestly, Kill Order, the new mode that they put in the game. I literally was dodging the queue whenever this came up as the mode. If I got into a game and it was Kill Order, I backed out, because that mode, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. I understand where they were coming from, or where they were aiming for in the mode, But the way people play the mode is too campy. No one moves. Their HVT always sits in the back of the map, and it's just not fun. It's not engaging. There's not a lot of gunfights. It's just not a fun mode. I disliked it entirely. I literally just dodged it every time I came up, and just kept playing the hard points, dominations, team TDMs, whatever it was. But I wasn't touching kill order. I think they need to find a way to fine tune that mode to keep people from camping, because it was just way too campy, way too slow. But those were the negatives. It wasn't a whole lot. Nothing crazy, nothing game breaking, nothing super bad. And now let's talk about the positives, because there were a lot of those. So first positive, the gunplay. The gunplay felt really nice. It felt really smooth. None of the guns felt like they took forever to kill. None of the guns felt like it was, besides the Jackal at the beginning, felt like it was too fast. The movement speed on the guns made sense. You know, you were really slow with LMGs. You were a little bit faster than LMGs with ARs. You were faster with SMGs, with shotguns, with pistols. That made sense. That felt good. Another positive there's the Omni movement. I felt the Omni movement was extremely smooth. It was really nice. It wasn't really hitchy. There were a few settings you do have to change in order to make it as smooth as possible. But once you have those settings set, it just is so smooth. The learning curve is there. It takes a little bit to kind of get used to it and put it into muscle memory. But once you do kind of get it, it's really easy to understand and really easy to kind of be able to use to the best of your ability. And I liked it a lot. I think the Omni movement is great. It increases the skill gap in COD, which is something that's been needed for a long time, for the last, I don't know how long. All they've been doing is reducing the skill gap, reducing the skill gap, reducing the skill gap. And in this game, they finally increased the skill gap, not only with Omni movement, but with also the next pro in this list, which is that they nerfed aim assist. Now, I'm a controller player on console, right? I'm a controller player on console. I've also played controller on PC. And I still will tell you that that aim assist is way too strong, and it needs to be nerfed. It probably still needs to be nerfed a little bit more, but at least the nerf that they gave it was a good one. The nerf, for those of you who don't know, the nerf they did to aim assist is that within 3 meters, if you're within 3 meters of somebody, your aim assist doesn't work. It basically just shuts off. So that stops it from, if you're both coming around a corner, it stops the controller player from latching to the other player, even if you're right next to each other, and getting a free kill off of it because of the aim assist. It stops that, which I like, because all that does is increase the skill gap more. If you're a good controller player, it's not going to affect you. If you're a good controller player with good aim on controller, it will not affect you. This affects the people who are not as good, who need to get better at aiming, who have been using aim assist as a crutch. That's what really affects. But I like the nerf. I think it's needed. I think maybe even nerf aim assist a little more, make it a little bit weaker at range, because it is still pretty strong at range. But I do like where they're going with the nerf currently. Again, aim assist was just too strong. So I'm hoping that this is just a good first step forward, and they just continue going in this direction. Another positive, we're going to go to the other half of the maps, because like I said, they were in the negatives, but they were the positives. Skyline, I enjoyed the most out of any map in the beta. I thought it was a really good map. I like the different lines of sight. You have the tunnel underground, you have the up top, you have to the sides, you have the pool area. I like that map a lot. I think that could be good for competitive, depending how they set up the hard points. I wasn't really paying attention to that. I wasn't rotating or anything like that. But I think that could be a good map for competitive, as well as Derelict. I don't think that's much of a map for competitive. I think that map is just a solid pub map. I don't think Derelict is good for competitive. Just the way it's set up isn't a competitive map. But I do like it for pubs. I do think it's a good map for pubs overall. So I think those two maps are good. Again, Rewind, it just felt a little bit campy, a little bit weird. I wasn't sure too much about that one. And Scud, which is the map you're seeing in the background, it just felt very campy and slow. But yeah, the other two maps, definitely good maps. I enjoyed them a lot. That was good. Another positive was the gun balancing. Other than the Jackal, the guns were all pretty balanced. They all felt viable, except for the shotgun. They all felt good. So that's a good positive thing. Another thing that was a positive was the perk system and the wildcard system. I do like the super perk, like upgrades or whatever that you can get when you have the same color ones all in a row. I like that a lot. And the wildcard system, where you can either have overkill, you can have an extra perk, you can have more attachments, but you have to choose one. You can't have them all. I like that a lot. The gunsmith, I like the gunsmith. Most of the attachments felt like they were actually a good thing for your gun. There were not a lot of negatives in the attachments, and I like that a lot, because a lot of times the attachments felt like, especially recently, like they were more negative than positive. Like you were just taking so much negative just for a little positive in attachments. In this game, it feels way different. At least it did in the beta. It felt more like, okay, these attachments are a good thing. Like they're actually making my gun better. It actually made you want to unlock more attachments to make your gun even better. So I think that was really good. The gunsmith was also very simple, very easy to understand. The layout was easy. There weren't a billion attachments in each category. I like that a lot. That's something that they need to continue going forward. Another good thing that I like was the TTK. It didn't feel too slow. It didn't feel too fast. I think it's just right where it is. And because it gives you the opportunity to still like kind of turn on people and make crazy plays, but at the same time, it's not too long where it feels like it takes forever to kill people. So I think that's also really good. And last but not least, my favorite thing in the whole beta, my favorite thing maybe in the whole game, the meat shield mechanic, and also the secret agent thing as well, where you can become one of the enemy team and kind of talk to them and be sneaky that way. But the meat shield mechanic to me is amazing. It's hilarious. It's great for content. You take people, you can talk to them. You can they can hear you, they can talk to you. It's just great for content. It's fun stuff in the game. That's something that COD needed badly, which is fun things. At the end of the day, COD is made for fun. It's a video game. It's made to be played for fun, and I think that's the good step in the right direction with the meat shield mechanic. So overall, I feel the Black Ops 6 beta was incredible. I feel it was really, really good. There were some negatives, obviously, like I said, but overall, I think it was a very positive experience. I enjoyed it a lot. I hate that we have to wait a month and a half to be able to play the full game, but that's just the way it is. In my opinion, do I think it's worth purchasing the game? Yes, I do believe it's worth purchasing. I think this is going to be the best COD we've had in a long time. It's had a full years of development, and I'm really, really excited for the full game to come out. I'm going to be grinding the heck out of it. A month and a half away, so I'm really excited for that. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to drop a like, make sure to subscribe, hit that little notification bell. I post pretty much every single day. There'll be plenty of Black Ops 6 content when the game drops, so be looking forward to that. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one.